Okay, let's see what's going on historically after the end of the Severan dynasty. So, we are in the middle years of the third century, and the Roman Empire, in this period that by modern scholars is called the crisis of the third century, went through several changes which almost destroyed it. For example, invasions by Goths and other German tribes threatened the empire from the outside. Then was a time of continuous civil war because emperors were placed on the throne by the army, only then to be murdered and replaced by another of their favorites. So during this time succeeded several emperors, but I chose Aurelian, who became emperor in 270 because he temporarily averted the threats from outside the empire and dealt even with two dangerous outbreaks of separatism. Rome was in danger too, and so Aurelian built the great defensive wall around Rome itself. The Great Wall was finished after his death by Emperor Probus, but was the only other wall built in Rome after the wall built by Servius, so the Etruscan king, in the 6th century BC. So, but now Rome needed, because it enlarged so much, to be defended in all its extension. So the new wall was about 20 kilometers long, 4 meters thick, and more than 7 meters high. So here you can see parts of this wall that are standing in many parts today, many parts of Rome today. They are called Mura Aureliane, the translation of Aurelian walls. And they have been built very quickly during this time, not finished by Aurelian, but by the following Emperor Probus. So here you can see stretches of the walls, and here I chose these two pictures to show you a sentry passage of the walls, so how they were heavily constructed using arched passages, then in concrete and with the facing of bricks. So then every 100 Roman feet, so that's about 30 meters, there was a square tower to control the walls in all the sites. So very fortified and controlled by soldiers. Then so Aurelian unfortunately was murdered by his own staff, as many others in this period. After which again there was a game of musical thrones till 284. When another commander of the imperial guard called Diocletian, that was coming from Dalmatia, so from the Balkans, and of obscure but humble origin, emerged and was proclaimed by the troops as the new emperor. With the accession of Diocletian, the empire enjoyed greater stability for the two next decades. and only some of the damages, especially material and financial, was repaired, but not entirely successfully. So the situation was very difficult to face and to solve. So Diocletian found himself in front of the splitting of the empire, but the potential for the splitting of the empire between a western part, basically Celtic in origin and then Romanized, and the eastern part, basically of Greek culture, had been clear since the beginning. So since the time of the civil war in between Octavian and Antony, in the game of power to control Rome. Then Octavian was successful, becoming the first Emperor Augustus. So one last attempt to hold the empire together was made exactly by Diocletian. Because he established a new system, the Tetrarch system, so based on 4 rulers, 2 senior emperors called Augusti, and 2 deputy emperors called Caesars. So 1 Augustus and 1 Caesar for the east, and 1 Augustus and 1 Caesar for the west. So effectively the empire was split in 4 parts. And none of the 4 administrators lived in Rome. All 4 had capitals nearer the troublesome borders areas. So the Caesar of Diocletian, Galerius, was given the authority over the Danube provinces, while Maximian, the other Augustus, the Augustus of the West, had his capital in Milan. Then the Caesar of Maximian in the West took Britain, Gaul, and Spain. He was named Constantius. Diocletian retained the eastern provinces and set up his regional headquarters at Nicomedia in Bithynia. So you can see in the map that's in northern Turkey. Then, so Nicomedia was a Greek-speaking city on the southern shore of the Black Sea, so in northern Turkey, and he held court there like an Eastern potentate. So he was acting as an Eastern ruler, as we have seen before, for example, with the Severans. So being in the East took the cultural heritage of the Eastern ways of ruling. But so then, in 305, Diocletian took the step of abdication. And so the Augustus of the West, Maximian, had to do the same. So the reign of Diocletian had been peaceful, but the year of turmoil had left their mark, the previous year of turmoil, on the administration of the empire and the financial situation. So Diocletian tried to keep the empire together, so choosing another system, but this was not enough. So although the headquarters were in Nicomedia, so far from Rome, Diocletian still did well for the citizens of Rome by setting up another set of public baths. So Diocletian baths are better preserved than any other in Rome, because major parts of this building were reused as a Christian religious establishment, as many times happened to many Roman monuments. This church is called of St. Mary of the Angel and Martyrs, and still occupies a large part of the baths, especially the largest hall. So some parts are still in function as a church, but other buildings of the original baths have become a school of art or part of the National Museum system. For example, the National Roman Museum, Palazzo Massimo alle Terme. So major parts of the original structure, we have to say, for this reused, have been kept in a very good repair. This in the picture is the reconstruction of the original building. Then this map is very interesting. So you can see that the parts in red are those remaining today, and the black rectangle encloses the area of the aerial photograph that's to the right. So from the map you can see that the entrance of the baths was at the top of the plan. The entrance of the church is at the bottom of the plan. So you can see that the round apse has been then used in the remodeling of the city to create a circular square in front of the entrance of the church. Then, so the baths are today very near the railway station, Termini station, but at the time occupied the high ground northeast of the Viminal Hill that was the smallest of the hills of Rome, and was just inside the so-called agger of the first walls of Rome, the Servian Wall. And it's interesting because they served as a bath for the people residing in the hills around, so the area of the Viminal, the Quirinal, and the Esquiline. What was in agger? So is the name given to a particular part of the Servian walls protecting the city on its most vulnerable side. And it consisted in a double rampart bearing formidable fortifications. So it was the most fortified part of the first circuit of walls in Rome, built by King Servius Tullius. Then Emperor Constantine. So Emperor Constantine from 330 decided to change the capital of the empire and moving the seat of government to the east at Byzantium, which he renamed Constantinople, city of Constantine. So in this way, ensuring that a Roman, but now Hellenized and mostly Christian empire would survive the inevitable loss of its western part. So you see the location of Constantinople, that's today Istanbul, and then you see how Constantine built the new city with the customary buildings of a traditional Roman city. One of the monuments on every Rome itinerary is the Arch of Constantine. So for no other reason that it stands right next to the Colosseum. So it was not in place when Constantine held his triumphal parade through Rome for his victory in the Battle of the Milvian Bridge against the contender to the title of emperor, together with him, Maxentius. So usually stone triumphal arches were built after the parade, after the fact, to replace temporary wooden arches that were set up for the triumphal parade of the emperors. Then Constantine, immediately after the parade, left town for the east and returned in Rome only 10 years later for the dedication of this arch. So on the 10th anniversary of his victory over Maxentius. Maxentius, if you remember, the builder of the Basilica in the Forum, then renamed Basilica of Constantine after that Constantine became emperor in the place of Maxentius. So then Constantine returned for his last time in Rome other 10 years later for the 20th anniversary. It's interesting, the Arch of Constantine, because the decoration of the arch is composed almost entirely of so-called spolia. That's an archaeological term for reused stuff. So these spolia were pieces taken from monuments of earlier emperors. So he wanted to, first of all, use highly valuable parts of pieces of art in the monument of previous emperors, and then to ideally be in line with the best emperors of Rome and those of the glory of the empire. So in the top tier reliefs, we can see some spolia from an earlier arch of Marcus Aurelius. New heads with the visage of Constantine were used to replace the original heads of Marcus Aurelius. So you see that in the drawing are the parts in yellow. Then there are other parts, so the statue of the Dacians from a monument of Trajan, and then the tondos coming from a monument of Hadrian. So here you can see so the four panels, two of the four panels of the time of Marcus Aurelius, then two of the Trajan's Dacians, and then one of Hadrian's roundels. All the parts in green are reliefs and symbolic decorations of the arch of the time of Constantine. And here you can see the arch itself within the background, the Colosseum. Okay, that's all. So see you face to face. Ciao. So the last thing to say to end the course is that through this evolution, especially in Imperial Rome, we have seen the technical advancement of Roman architecture, especially through materials and techniques, but everything always to face the needs of the society of the time. And through the architecture we can understand how the emperors wanted to present themselves, especially according to the particular condition of their rule and the particular historical moment.